You're about to buy a new tractor for $300,000. The dealer shows you the documents, you see that figure $300,000 and you think, okay, I understand what this will cost me. But you have no idea how much you'll actually pay. When you make that final payment 7 years from now, you won't have spent $300,000. Not even close. The real amount will simply shock you. And the last hidden expense, dealers don't talk about it at all, but it's the one that eats up the most money. Stick around until the end, because I'm going to break down every dollar for you. I completely understand why you're looking at this new tractor. Your old machine has done its time, constant breakdowns, loss of time during planting or harvest. And time is money, especially in our business. A new tractor means more power, better fuel economy, modern GPS technology, autopilot. This isn't just a purchase, it's an investment in your farm's future. So, let's start with the obvious: loan interest. When you finance farm equipment, banks typically offer rates from 5 to 8% per year. Let's take the average option, 6.5%. That's a quite realistic rate for a farmer with good credit history. $300,000 for 7 years at 6.5% per year. Doesn't sound too scary, right? Let's calculate. Your monthly payment will be approximately $4,370. Let's round to $4,500 for simplicity. Every month. 7 years straight. That's 84 payments. Now let's multiply. $4,370 times 84 months, that comes to $366,000. And do you remember how much the tractor itself cost? $300,000. This means that on interest alone you'll pay an additional $66,000. $66,000. That's a whole new pickup truck. Or an excellent used combine. And you know what's most frustrating? Most of the interest goes away in the first years of the loan. This is called debt amortization. Your first payments go almost entirely toward paying off interest, not the principal. Only by the 4th or 5th year will you start actually reducing the loan amount. But wait! We've only just begun. Interest is the most obvious part. Now let's talk about what's hidden behind beautiful brochures and dealer promises. Here's the first thing the dealer will mention in passing, quickly flipping through documents. Insurance. Oh yes, you'll need full coverage, it's a standard financing requirement. And moves on to the next item. But let's stop here in more detail. When you take out a loan for a tractor, the bank requires full insurance. It's logical, they are protecting their investment. If the tractor burns, tips over, or gets stolen, yes, tractors get stolen too, the bank doesn't want to be left holding the bag. Full insurance coverage for a $300,000 class tractor will cost you approximately $2,500 to $3,500 a year. This depends on the state, your insurance history, where the equipment is stored. Let's take the average $3,000 a year. Multiply by 7 years. 3,000 times 7, that's $21,000. $21,000 just on insurance. And that's assuming rates don't increase, you don't get into an accident, and the insurance company doesn't revise rates after some hurricane or flood in your region. And you know what's even more interesting? After you pay off the loan, you'll still insure the tractor. Because not insuring equipment worth $250,000 is just insane. But right now we're only counting these 7 years of the loan. So, let's have an interim total. Loan interest $66,000. Insurance $21,000. Already $87,000 on top of the tractor's cost. But these are still flowers. The berries are ahead. Now let's talk about what eats up more money than many expect: maintenance and repair. But wait! You'll say, it's a new tractor. It has a warranty. And you're right. Most manufacturers give a warranty for 2 to 3 years or 2 to 3,000 engine hours, whichever comes first. Sounds great, right? Here's the catch though. The warranty covers manufacturing defects. It doesn't cover consumables and scheduled maintenance. And for a tractor of this class, scheduled maintenance is a serious expense item. Let's break it down point by point. Oil and filter changes. For a large tractor, this needs to be done every 250 to 500 engine hours, depending on working conditions. If you work intensively, this could be 2 to 3 times a year. One oil change in the engine and hydraulic system with filters will cost $800 to $1,200. Multiply by 2.5 times a year, multiply by 7 years, we get about $15,000 to $20,000. Tires. Oh, tires, that's a whole other story. A set of tires for a $300,000 tractor costs from $8,000 to $15,000. And yes, over 7 years of active work you'll replace them at least once. Let's budget $12,000 for tires. Air filters, fuel filters, belts, hydraulic hoses, all these little things that wear out. Another $3,000 to $5,000 over 7 years. And now the most interesting part, the post-warranty period. After the 3rd year you're on your own. And this is where the roulette begins. Maybe you'll get lucky and everything will work perfectly. Or maybe a hydraulic pump will blow out for $8,000. Or the transmission will break for $15,000. Or the electronic control unit will fail for $4,000. I'm not trying to scare you. Modern tractors are quite reliable. But statistics show that the average cost of repairs after warranty for equipment of this class is about $5,000 to $7,000 a year. Over 4 post-warranty years, that's another $25,000 to $30,000. Let's add it all together. Scheduled maintenance $17,000. Tires $12,000. Consumables $4,000. Post-warranty repair $28,000. Total for maintenance and repair over 7 years $61,000. $61,000. And that's a conservative estimate. If you work in harsh conditions, in dust, in mud, if you have rocky soil, this figure could be higher. Let's have another interim total. Interest $66,000. Insurance $21,000. Maintenance $61,000. We're already at the $148,000 mark in additional expenses. But wait. There's something else that dealers really don't like to talk about. Taxes. That's a word nobody likes. But there's no escaping them. When you buy a tractor, in most states you pay sales tax. The national average is 6 to 7%. On $300,000 that's $18,000 to $21,000. Boom, another $20,000 at the time of purchase. But wait. You'll say again. Isn't farm equipment exempt from sales tax? In some states yes, fully or partially. In others no. Let's assume for our calculation that you still had to pay. If your state gives exemptions, great, subtract that amount. But for many farmers this is reality. Next, annual property tax on equipment. Yes, in most states agricultural equipment is subject to property tax. The rate varies from 0.5% to 2% of the assessed value. Let's take 1%. First year. 1% of $300,000, that's $3,000. Second year. The value depreciates, let's say to $270,000, that's $2,700. And so on. Over 7 years, accounting for decreasing assessed value, you'll pay about $15,000 to $18,000 in property tax. Equipment registration and licensing another $200 to $500 a year, depends on the state. Over 7 years that's $1,500 to $3,500. Good news. There's a federal tax benefit called Section 179. This is a benefit that allows you to write off the equipment cost in the year of purchase. In 2026 the limit is over $1 million, so your tractor falls completely under it. This means you can deduct $300,000 from your taxable income in the first year. If your tax rate is 22%, you'll save about $6,000 to $6,000 on federal taxes. Sounds wonderful, right? And it really helps. But remember, this isn't a cash refund, it's a deferred tax. You just pay less now. And this benefit only works if you have sufficient income for the deduction. So, on taxes. Sales tax, if applicable $20,000. Property tax $17,000. Registration $2,500. Total $39,500. But minus possible savings from federal benefit $6,000 to $6,000. Net tax benefit comes out to about $26,000. Not bad. This is the first figure that works in your favor. Let's subtract it from our accumulated expenses. Current total of additional expenses. $148,000 plus $39,500 minus $66,000, that's $121,500. We're still significantly above the tractor's initial price. And now I'll tell you about the most painful moment. About that figure that most farmers don't account for at all when buying. And this is the biggest loss. Depreciation. Loss of value. Devaluation. This is what nobody wants to think about when buying a shiny new tractor. But it's a reality that will hit your wallet when 7 years from now you decide to sell or trade it in. Listen carefully, because this is the key point. Farm equipment loses value faster than you think. In the first year, a new tractor loses 15 to 20% of its value simply because it's no longer new. Then it loses 10 to 12% a year over the next few years, then the pace slows down. Let's calculate for our $300,000 tractor. Year 0, purchase $300,000. Year 1, minus 18%, $246,000. Year 2, minus 12%, $216,500. Year 3, minus 10%, $194,500. Year 4, minus 10%, $175,000. Year 5, minus 8%, $161,000. Year 6, minus 8%, $148,000. Year 7, minus 8%, $136,500. After 7 years, your tractor is worth approximately $135,000 to $140,000. That's if it's in good condition, if you maintained it properly, if the market is stable. Loss of value. $300,000 minus $137,000, that's $163,000. $163,000 evaporated. Just like that. This isn't money you paid to someone. This is money your tractor simply lost by existing. But that's normal. You'll say, all assets depreciate. And you're absolutely right. But here's the thing. This is a real cost of ownership that needs to be accounted for. Think about it this way. If instead of buying a tractor, you put those $300,000 in a deposit at 4% per year, after 7 years you'd have $395,000. The difference between these figures and your tractor, that's what economists call opportunity cost. But I'm not that harsh. I understand that a tractor isn't an investment in the direct sense. It's a tool that generates income. It allows you to work more land, work more efficiently, earn more. Nevertheless, depreciation is a real expense item. And it needs to be accounted for in the overall picture. Alright. Let's put it all together. It's time for the main figure you've watched till the end for. Tractor cost $300,000. Additional expenses over 7 years. Loan interest $66,000. Insurance $21,000. Maintenance and repair $61,000. Taxes and fees $39,500. Minus tax benefits subtract $66,000. Interim total $421,500. These are direct cash expenses. This is money that will actually leave your bank account over 7 years. $421,500. But remember depreciation. The tractor during this time will lose $163,000 in value. This means that your net cost of ownership, if accounting for the final tractor value, looks like this. Total expenses $421,500. Minus residual tractor value subtract $137,000. Net cost of ownership $284,500. Almost $300,000. That's what this tractor will actually cost you over 7 years if you then sell it. But here's an alternative view. If considering only direct cash expenses without accounting for residual value, because you might be planning to use the tractor further, then you'll spend $421,500. $121,500 more than the initial price. So, what do we have in the end? A tractor with a $300,000 price tag actually costs you $420,000 in real expenses over 7 years of credit. Now the most important question. Is it worth it? And you know what? For many farmers the answer is yes. Absolutely worth it. If this tractor allows you to work 200 more acres of land, if it cuts planting time from 3 weeks to 1.5, if it gives you the opportunity to take an additional custom work contract, it pays for itself. The productivity of a modern tractor of this class can bring an additional $50,000 to $100,000 of income per year. Over 7 years that's $350,000 to $700,000. Subtract our $421,500 in expenses, and you're left with a healthy profit. But, and this is a big but, you must be honest with yourself. Do you really have work for such a machine? Or are you giving into the temptation of bigger means better? Maybe you should consider alternatives. Leasing. Lower monthly payments, all maintenance included, less headache. After 5 to 7 years you return the tractor and get a new one. Yes, in the end you pay more, but predictable expenses and always modern equipment. Used equipment. A 3 to 5 year old tractor with 2,000 to 3,000 hours can be bought for $180,000 to $220,000. The main depreciation has already passed. Yes, there might be repairs, but the savings are huge. Or a cooperative. If you have a neighbor with a similar work schedule, why not split the expenses? The main thing: calculate. Calculate everything. Don't fall in love with the iron until you've run the numbers through a calculator. Because the difference between a successful farm and bankruptcy often lies not in how new your equipment is, but in how well you manage money. Now you know the real price. Now you can make the right decision. If this video was helpful, hit like. Subscribe to the channel so you don't miss new materials about the real economics of farming. And write in the comments, are you for buying a new tractor or for alternative options? Let's discuss. See you in the next video. Good luck in the fields.